Hello.
So sounds like it's going to be a fun one, eh?
Yeah, I know, right? Welcome back to the Silent and the Deaf Machine podcast, which has been very erratic lately. We've both been very busy doing our things. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed our wonderful sit down with Robbie. That was amazing stuff. I am, of course, Aaron Nix, the Deaf Machine portion of Silent and Deaf Machine. And joining me, all one word, is Silent Mark.
And I'm getting undressed.
Yeah, take it all off.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it off. You want to be a
Um.
star, don't you?
So yeah, first off, bloody hell, that was a good conversation with Robbie.
Well, not so much good as
It was
good.
interesting. It was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. Robbie, thank you for doing it. It was an amazing
Yeah,
conversation to have with you.
Robbie's stunning. I mean, obviously the context of it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily stunning, but it was
What we
very liberating to see a man with his kind of stereotypes and ideals that are surrounding most big, burly, bold men. It was nice for him to be able to come out and speak with such beautiful, candid honesty about the difficulties that he suffered in his life. So yeah, no, massive commitment to him, and thank you to the feedback that we've got about it as well.
Yes, thank you very much. It's appreciated. So how have you been since we last spoke, sir?
Did fuck it now. I it has been a week and a bit. I mean, you might have seen like inklings of it in the Wrestle Plug group chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot going off, a lot. Last week was from my wrestling side of my profession, probably one of the toughest weeks I've had to deal with in terms of people's bullshit and people saying things, and it's like that's cool. Like, you learn that you can't dictate other people's narratives or what they think of you, but yeah, then obviously I had a very heavy weekend as well with the IWE Date with Destiny show, and then obviously the next day helping out my boy Andy at House of Pain. Not complaining,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, very enjoyable. But I think I had in total about 8 hours sleep over 3 days, and by the end of it, I was super ill and very, very, very grumpy. Um, yeah, and obviously with all the health matters still ongoing and still being a real difficulty to try and get hold of, it's been a fucking shift. But yeah, it doesn't. I'm sort of taking a bit of time this week to try and relax. Obviously, we record this on a Tuesday, but it's
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania this weekend, and
It
obviously
is.
that's where I kind of build my subscriber base and build a lot of my fan base. And obviously, I'm also doing 4 shows this weekend as well. So
Fucking hell, dude.
yeah, like, but hey, that's the dream, isn't it? Like, it's either that or sit at home and masturbate, which I'll do anyway. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
same.
so I'd much rather earn the money first, then sit at home and wank. So, it's not too bad. I'm doing a show this Friday, which is obviously very contentious. And I know that a lot of people are kind of like, hexing the fuck out of it. And I'm like, well, we all make decisions in our lives, and I've
Do we,
decided that,
can we talk about it?
yeah, if you want. I mean,
Because
yeah,
I don't know anything about it.
well, we have to be sort of careful about the context of it. So I'm doing a show this Friday called Behind Closed Doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a relatively private show. Um, it's out there in the public eye. It always was going to be, even if we tried to keep it private. What makes it so contentious isn't necessarily any of the talents on the show or anything like that. It's just the fact that the show itself is run by an individual who unfortunately went to prison for,
We spoke about him on the first couple of podcasts, didn't we?
yeah, only
Yeah.
briefly, and we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
obviously we're not allowed to use names and stuff
Yeah, we
like that
didn't
for
use
legal
names, we didn't use
reasons.
context, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
basically, this individual made a very grave and frankly unforgivable mistake, which he
Mm-hmm.
paid the price for. And he, in the rest of it now, just for context, he didn't rape or murder anybody, but he physically assaulted another wrestler. It was only one strike, but that
Mm.
was enough to cause a serious amount of harm emotionally and physically. And he was reprimanded for that. And yeah, bottom line is he paid the price for what he did. And I have no qualms in saying that he deserved to go to prison, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's that thing of since then, rehabilitated, gone back into normal life, working incredibly hard, trying to be a good guy and, trying to find his feet again. It shows you how fleeting life is. He made one mistake and it cost him, 6 months of his freedom,
Yeah.
and he could have been in there for longer. Now his probation period is up and blah, blah, blah. And obviously we can't talk about that in great length, like I've said. But bottom line is that this show is being backed. He's one of the backers for it. And obviously, I'm making my MC debut on this show, as well as doing videography as well. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I know, right? It's just like, yeah, fucking, I'll just die in a wrestling ring. It's all
I
good.
swear to God, if you become better than me at MCing, I am going to kick the fuck off.
Well, I do have some surprises in store, but yeah, it's that thing. So, you know what? While we've got the subject on tap, it's something I want to ask you. So,
Go on, Em.
you've got enough of a context as to what was done,
Yeah.
and you know that this individual. So, in this moment, obviously, there's a lot of heat. And I can imagine, and also there's reputations at stake here. And a few people have said people who work the shows will not be allowed to work certain shows and blah, 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 blah. But I find there's a lot of double standards with that because those people are also working shows with ex-offenders or people who have been accused of horrible. Yeah, it's a murky business. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I am holier than thou. But at the same time, I would like to think that if I made a mistake and then had to pay my debt to society, I'd like to think that my friends would support me at least, or at least have my back to a certain degree, or if nothing else, give me an opportunity to prove that I'm a reformed person.
I think it depends on what it was that happened. Like, for example, there are some in the community here that have done fucking awful things that are still getting shows, that are still getting publicity, that are still getting, they've done worse.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you did. If you try
I'm talking exclusively if I'd done the same thing that he had done.
Oh, if you'd done the same thing, again, it depends on context.
Yeah.
If you'd done it and you'd, you know,
show no remorse.
If you'd done it and gone, yeah, I'd fucking do it again, then no, you can get fucked because you saw the type of person you are. There is one wrestler that has done a similar thing. And he's still getting shows.
Yeah, I think if you sort of remove your own moral, and because everyone's going to have a different moral and ethical fiber to it, like we've spoken about in previous podcasts. Me personally, I've spent enough time with the individual that I believe them to be a very good person. They've been very supportive of me. They've been there to listen to me cry and sulk and have a whinge and stuff like that. They always are on the other end of the phone when I need to talk to them. They have given me an opportunity to further my trade and work in different avenues of videography as well, and have never really asked much of me whatsoever other than just, you know, the support of somebody who's a good friend. And for me, it's that thing of I was the very first person to come out on, you know, media platforms and say what a piece of shit. And it was actually a lot of the wrestlers at the time that were saying to me, yeah, it's not great, but at the same time, we know that he is overall a very good person, and we feel that he's made a horrendous mistake. But ultimately, it comes down to this. So, obviously, I'm asking you to isolate this crime because otherwise, we're going to be here forever going over like every single different thing that people could possibly do. Yeah, of course, if you fucking rape or murder or do something heinous with children or whatever it might be, yeah, there's no real sort of recourse for that. You're fucked and deserve to be. But it's that thing of, so let's isolate it here. It was
again, we don't need to talk about it because, again, opening it up will cause more unpleasant discussion rather than the point of what we're trying to say.
Even just talking about it now is probably going to cop some hate. It just is. But it's
from
more a case of, from your standpoint, you know, where do you draw the line with things like this ethically and morally? Do you think that I am morally corrupt, for instance, for working this show?
No, I'm not, because again, it was, considering what happened, considering he paid the price. I come from a side of it where I've worked with a lot of offenders and a lot of really unpleasant people. I remember doing when I was earlier on in my radio career, we were involved with the YMCA in Lancaster. And a lot of troubled youths went there. I remember one day, there was a lad in the studio who had to work there for some reason. And he was talking to a lass about the rush he got when he beat the crap out of someone. Like, truly unpleasant person. He went to prison for it and then came back and put his effort into something proper. We had to work with him through what we did. And I remember I thought, I'm going to give this guy a job that it's going to just be hard work. It's not an unpleasant job because it was just doing something with a song. It was just, editing a song. He had to do that for me. But whenever I edit songs, I have to reverse all the swear words. I gave him a song with a fuck ton of swear words in it. So it took him a fucking age. But he did it with no qualms, no negative points or anything like that. Speaking to him, you can see there's remorse in his eyes. He is now a manager at a supermarket. And it's nice seeing that progression for him. Because he was an unpleasant individual. Doesn't mean that there are always going to be unpleasant individuals. If he asked me to do a thing, he said, Mark, I've got this event. Do you fancy doing a bit for it? I'd go, yeah, I'll do something for it. His past is, worse than this gentleman we're talking about. But, if he asked me to do it, I'd do it because of how he's turned his life around.
Difficult, isn't it? Because it also comes down to like moral implications don't necessarily, and ethical complications aren't necessarily things that we put to the wayside when we do things like this. We might still have a moral dilemma within ourselves by doing this. But then we also have to think of the consequences of maybe not doing it. For instance, it might be for some guys on this show a very limited opportunity to make some more money in a very difficult time of their lives, in which case, they're going to lean more towards that. If somebody says, you can't work that show because that person is, in our eyes, a horrible person, has done something horrible, even though they've paid their price back to society. It's very difficult to kind of sit there and say, okay, sure, I'll just do that, especially if this is income for you, if this is your work, if this is your job. It's very easy when people are in a position of comfort to dictate to somebody who's not what they should and shouldn't be doing and how they should be earning their money. It's not like I'm going out on the streets and selling crack to 12-year-olds. That's not what I'm doing here.
No, it's weed.
Exactly. No.
Yeah. You can't sell crack. Sell weed. That's fine.
I have no idea how it works up north.
I agree with you. Up north, it's harder than that.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I genuinely, when I was a couple of years ago, I was walking down the road and genuinely a 15-year-old asked me if I wanted any Molly.
Okay.
And I said no.
What's
and
Molly?
Then he threw it.
And then he threw what Molly is?
Something to do with cocaine.
I think. Okay, cool.
And then I said no, and I walked off a little bit, and he threw a brick at me. Where I live, everybody.
That's just like that's happening like the street just randomly.
Yeah.
And some might say that that's just as bad. That's what we're talking about here with this.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
But so I'm on both sides of it, of this argument. So, for example, I work for a company. I'm not going to say which company it is, but some people could say that the company I work for are overall not the most ethical company in the world. You know who I work for, don't you?
The British government,
yeah. Do you think they'd have me?
Can you imagine you advising Rishi Sunak? It'd just be you, just being like, stop being
Rishi,
a fucking bellend.
Yeah,
stop
Rishi,
doing that.
stop being a cunt. Just stop it.
Just fucking wind your neck in, you piece of shit. Yeah.
Oi, Braverman, fuck right off. If Patel, blue, you're a bellend.
Then I don't want to know.
Yeah. So I work for a company that people have problems with. I'm not in the position to argue with that. All I can do is my best from my end. I have to work for someone, and they're the people who have employed me at the moment. So, yeah, I've actually had someone shout at me and say, you're the problem with the world because you're contributing to it.
I should watch this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. My argument is I'm not contributing to it because I'm shit at my job. and I'm getting money for it.
But what
So
you're essentially saying is that you're deliberately trying to sabotage from within.
not even deliberately. I'm just shit.
just unconsciously
Yeah,
shy.
I'm just not very good.
Fair. That was me at Royal Mail.
Yeah.
I was just like, I fucking hate this job and did the bare minimum every time.
But on the other side of it, like a few podcasts ago when we were talking about the guitar
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
I wouldn't for my morals. And I wouldn't for my morals because I don't need the money that badly. The money would be nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not my wage.
For me, each gig can make or break whether I eat.
And that's the thing. I have got something underlying it. So if you were offered a job at Qatar and that was the only job you were offered throughout the fucking year, you turned around to me and said, Mark, I don't know whether to do it or not. I'd be like, have you got any other work? You'd be like, no. I said, well, then go and fucking do it.
And get your ass over to Qatar.
Yeah, because your morals will only go as far as your comfort allows. It's just true, you know?
Yeah.
People...
It's very easy to say, like, for instance, all the people that are, you know, so for me, I'd like to make it very clear, as far as the victim in the incident is concerned, they are entitled to feel however they want, and I will always have empathy for that. I will do, and I know they would say, I don't give a shit because you're friends with that piece of shit, and etc. And that's fine. I understand that. I really do. But I always will have empathy for that, and you're entitled to feel however you want, and you will not get an argument from me. And everybody should respect that. But it's also that thing of when it's, you know, individuals in my business, and like you say, we've, you know, sort of mentioned that, you know, these people are working for other scrupulous individuals and things of that nature. That's when it starts getting really infuriating to me, because it's that thing of, it's very easy for people who are in a position of power and comfort to say, you can't do this. You know, it's a very dictatorial kind of mentality of, you can't work that show, because if you do, I'll blacklist you from mine. But what's to say you were ever going to use them anyway?
Yeah.
It's manipulation.
It's a difficult one. I think it will get to a point very soon where the rug is going to be pulled from under certain people. So at the moment, we are very... the trans issue is a huge thing at the moment. We have people in our industry, in our business, that they're very LGBTQ plus positive and are very supportive and are allies and very, very excited that the new Harry Potter game's out. You know, pick your battles. Well, they obviously do.
How far does it go?
Yeah.
How many of us own a phone that's probably made by a horrendous conglomerate that abuses all our privacy and data rights? How many of us wear a pair of trainers or an item of clothing that was made in a sweatshop without even fucking knowing a lot of the time?
I don't give a shit about the sweatshop stuff because, you know, the kids, fuck them.
Now, this is a message I can get on board with. As Brock Lesnar says, I don't give a shit about your kids. Yeah.
He just finds them
the
very
they get
tasty.
opposite chimney, the better.
Exactly. I've got a fire next door. It's wonderful.
Get up there.
I should have taken the kid out of the chimney, to be fair, but you know, fuck it, I was cold.
Like, if anything, that's character building. Stoke the fires a bit, you know. See how quick I can, like, get up there, you shit house.
Exactly. I've had to put it all the way down though because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go halfway
through. Monkey bars with smoke. That's all I look at.
Fair enough. But yeah, so we're very eager to have the moral high ground when it suits us. The big point about the whole thing is, are you comfortable enough for it? So with some people, you're broke, you've got literally no money. Would you go and steal a loaf of bread? The answer is yes, because you're fucking hungry and you need it. Someone turning around going, well, it's disgusting that person stole a loaf of bread. Yeah, because you don't have to fucking do it.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about where your bread comes from.
Yeah. And so we've got to be very aware of our privilege when it comes to shit like that.
We also have to be very careful I think it's very easy to throw a blanket over offenders and say, you know, like, what?
Say, stop it, dirty boy, and then hit the blanket a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a lot of boys you're hitting under a blanket. That's another story.
It's what I like doing. I like hitting boys under blankets.
Oh Lord,
It makes me happy.
There's your soundbite for Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I might isolate that, make that my text message tone. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, I get it, I get it. So you hear prison, you hear offender for whatever reason, and you think scum. That is just a natural reaction because that's been ingrained in us that if someone's gone to prison, that's because they're a horrible enough human being. But when you actually look at what people go to prison for, yeah, absolutely. There's people in there that are pure evil, but there's also people in there for the most stupidest things. Like,
I'm going to send you a text message now.
Sure.
And it's going to have a name on it. And I think this is the name of someone who did something similar, if not worse than this, right? Is that the gentleman?
What he did, I would argue, was far less in terms of physicality. But I don't know what incident you might be referring to. Is it the one that involved a referee?
Yes.
You're thinking of the other individual that was involved in the same incident. And that was actually, in my opinion, just as bad.
Yeah, those people are still getting work.
Yeah, the individual who actually caused the damage in that scenario. I know it's very, everyone's like, what the fuck's going on here? It's very kind of, very sort of.
It has to be. It has to be.
Has to be, unfortunately, yeah, due to legal reasons. But this individual actually was we worked with recently at a company that we've both worked for. So. And actually, yeah, no, what he had done was actually, we'll talk about it off air, but ultimately he didn't really do much at all. Actually, it was his tag partner who did all the bad stuff.
And is the tag partner still doing stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
More through choice, I think, than anything, though. Like, I imagine if he wanted to, he could probably get work somewhere else. But it's also worth pointing out that the individual that we're talking about here, as opposed to the first one that was from the original, that was like a continuous assault.
Yeah.
As opposed to one fleeting moment where they lost their head.
Yeah, and that's why I thought I thought it was that fella, not the other one. But
no, that poor bloke actually is really nice that you've messaged me. Yeah,
I've not met him. I've not met him, but I know the referee.
You probably would have met him if you'd been booked. Right?
Yeah.
But,
weirdly, after the last podcast where I was saying something about it, I got a text message.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was he listening?
I don't know. I don't think because it was after we recorded it.
This is the most subtle podcast of all time. Like, everyone's going to be like, "Who's that? Who's that? And who's that?"
Don't worry. Very soon, I'm going to be talking about an overdose. But we'll come on to that in a bit.
Christ. Fair enough. But yeah, it's again, it's moral and ethical complications, and it's very easy when you're in my position. It's very easy for people who see me in my position to be able to say, you should do this, this, and this. You shouldn't do that, that, and that. And I'm like, you have your own house.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids. You have a very stable, solid job. I don't. Now, people will say, well, that's through choice. Absolutely. But, that's the choice I've made. So I'm happy to take accountability for it. But at the same time, I am kind of leaning towards that thing of like very easy for people to tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing when they've already got their castle.
Mm-hmm. No,
very easy to yell at the peasants when you're on the castle wall. Very easy to do that.
Yeah, very much so. So fucking stop it, you bellends. I nearly said it. I nearly said a name there as well. I'm in such a mischievous mood.
Fucking. I am like public enemy number one right now. So for me, it's like, fucking that's happening. Fuck it. So, but yeah.
I've just sent you another name of someone I wanted to say out loud.
Oh, right. Yeah, not nearly as bad as the one I was thinking of. Should we just like basically make this podcast about who we're texting people? So that one is just.
Oh, look. See, I don't know her, but you've told me. The one I text you is very much one of the ones I was talking about before. Oh, we've got to look after everyone and everyone's great. And then they're like, oh, I need to support these people who are disgusting to the people I like.
Just
You can't
shitty
have it both
business.
ways.
It's a shitty business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to tell you why I wasn't here last week.
Go for it.
Monday night, everybody. Nick's messaged me. We got for a podcast tomorrow. I'm like, yes, we'll fucking do it. Tuesday, I became quite ill. And then wasn't right for the rest of the week. And I realized why. I accidentally overdosed.
On what? Sertraline.
Mm-hmm.
How many did you take?
2.
Really? That made you super ill, did it? Just taking 2?
Bear in mind, I'm on 100 milligrams.
Okay.
So, Monday morning, I obviously take my tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my routine has been messed up at the moment because usually Monday, Friday, I'm in work. Throughout the week, I work from home. That's been messed up now, so I'm mainly working from work. I'm not at home anymore. So my routine of taking my tablets in certain places completely went out of the window. So now I don't know when I'm taking them properly. So Monday came, I took it in the morning, and then I came home and went, no, I usually take it at night. I can't remember if I took it this morning. So I took it again. Tuesday, ill. Wednesday, not
Physically
feeling
or mentally?
physically. Mentally, I was fine. Mentally, I had no problems
Yeah, if
whatsoever.
anything, your brain was like, extras, happy days.
Yeah, I wasn't sad. I wasn't unpleasant. Even when my kids were playing up, I was on top of it. I was dealing with everything.
Yeah, under the blanket.
And so I had Monday, so Tuesday ill, Wednesday not feeling great, Thursday, Friday, my head was feeling wobbly. And the way I described it to my manager was it didn't feel like my head stopped here. It felt like it stopped here. It just felt like I had space in between my brain and where my head ended. And I couldn't really describe it. And then I'd realized, obviously, what happened. But now I'm at the point where I'm questioning myself over whether I've taken the right things in the right places. So just before we came on, I thought, oh, I can take my... Wait, hang on a second. I don't know if I've taken my tablet today. So I don't know if I should take it again. I'm at the point where I would rather be miserable the next day or wobbly the next day and not feel like I did last week. It's a fucking weird thing.
Is it really, does it affect you that much that it's like, for instance, if you don't take one the next day, then your mental health takes an immediate decline?
It's not so much my mental health. It can do it, but it depends on where my head is at the time. I've often said before that I kind of think of mental health and all that type of stuff. You have a period. Like a lady's period, you have a period with mental health where your brain feels like it should be releasing chemicals or it shouldn't be releasing chemicals or it should be releasing chemicals at a different time. Because of the sertraline, it doesn't do what it thinks it should do. So once a month, it just goes, you're fucking having it. And that's where you have 1 week of just being the lowest of the low, of being sad and irritable and everything's wrong. And the smallest thing can change your day in a bad way. I was lucky enough that, so those weeks, yes, if I don't take my tablet, that shit gets fucking worse. But usually if I don't take my tablet, I just feel a bit wobbly. I feel like I know I haven't taken it. Although during summer last year, I went on holiday with my kids and had an amazing time, but I'd forgotten to bring my tablets with me, so I hadn't really taken them. And then as soon as I got back, the next day, I went to go up to the Edinburgh Festival. So spent a couple of days up Edinburgh. So I hadn't taken them in a week at that point. That was a weird weekend because I went to see a comedian called Michelle Brazier, who is an Australian comedian. She's absolutely amazing. She did a show called Average Bear, which was about her family and about her health and about losing her dad to cancer, and really, really fucking heartbreaking show. And she was like, everyone's had sadness in their lives, whether it's to do with this or whether it's to do with anything else. At the end, I want to hear your story. I'm going to be outside and I want to hear your story. And if you need to hug, if you need to talk, I will be outside for as long as you need. And she was. And as soon as I left that room, I fucking bawled like a fucking baby. And I went to, I remember going to the toilets, the assembly rooms. So again, this is how fucking deep it is in my head. I remember going to the toilets in the assembly rooms, crying like a fucker, but trying not to make any noise because the toilet was full. And then coming out and being on the verge of crying for the next hour. And then the next show I saw, I've said this before on the podcast, and I've said it to you as well. I went to go and see a comedian called Rob Rouse, who did a song about a tiny horse with a massive cock. The lovely juxtaposition between something really heartfelt and beautiful and lovely and funny to something utterly ridiculous and funny and something that just makes you laugh. So yes, that was my thing. The reason why I said that is because I hadn't taken it for a week, and that was where my head went because it hadn't had anything. On the odd day, yeah, I can put up with it. But yeah, apparently taking 2 in a day isn't a good thing.
Fair enough.
It's telling people you've had an overdose as well, because there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, that word, like, again, there's levels to it, isn't there?
Yeah, so, it's very triggering. But again, if I say I've taken too many, they go, "Oh my God, why? What?"
They think you've taken like a whole strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I say I accidentally overdosed, they've gone, "Oh, well, you haven't taken that many. You've just popped one too many."
Yeah. Yeah, people hear overdose and assume that, you're foaming from the mouth and passed out on the floor.
Yeah. It was a very, very weird time.
It always is with you.
That is true. That is true. The show for Odyssey Pro Wrestling came out today on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I think it's £3 a month. You can get access to all our previous shows and stuff. God, I look fat on that shit.
I felt that when I look back at the footage from this show behind me that went down on Saturday. I realised that I am morbidly obese at this point, so got to try and fix that.
You're not morbidly obese. You're beautiful.
Just morbid. This is just fucking morbid.
Put a pin in it. Just entertain the group for a second, because I'm going to show you something else. What happened since we've been gone?
Cool.
Okay.
Is it drug related again?
No, nothing to do with that.
Okay.
It's just to do with getting older.
The mark comes out as a cocaine dealer. Right? Molly.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've all dealt with. So while Mark's gone, I guess I'll plug my dates. I'm going to be at BCD this Friday. A show called Breakout. It's going to be in Bournemouth. It's actually going to be nearer to Poole. It's Parkstone Trades and Labour Club. So if you wanna come along, join us.
Right, you ready?
It'll be fun.
Are you ready?
Didn't get most of that. All right, go for it, Austin Powers.
You can do it properly in a second, but you're ready.
I'm ready.
Right. This is me now.
How you doing, Joe Knight? You all right?
I'd say more Eddie from Bottom.
That's a good thing, though, isn't it?
Well, hang on a sec. I've got my hat. Hat! Where are you, bastard? Ah!
Yeah, very eerily similar.
Say again?
Yeah, like I say, eerily similar. Get it?
I know, right? It's fucking depressing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All I can think of is put it on blow, Eddie.
So
Put it
with
on blow. You dirty bastard.
so I went to the optician. I got a free eye test with work. So I thought, why the fuck not? I'm not paying for it. Fuck it. Apparently, no.
Now you are paying for it.
Apparently, I'm just old.
Welcome to the club.
And I said to him, no, he said to me, he said, they're not that bad. So this eye is worse than this eye, only by a little bit, but it has like a weird haze around the outside. And he goes, yeah, that sounds about right for your age. I'm like, for your age? Fuck you.
That's just the way it's going to be now.
I'm not fucking 80. Yeah, fair enough. I'm nearly 40, but still, I'm a young man. Look at that face there. Look at it. It's youthful. It's vaguely attractive.
It looks like it's struggling not to have a shit.
Well, it is at that point. I think I was 3 pints deep at that point.
You're always 3 pints deep.
I drink at shows. It's fun. Although I stopped because once I nearly fell into the ring.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see when you watch the Rumble show, you'll be able to see that I struggled getting into the ring. That's because it was higher. And I ended up ruining my leg because every time I got up, I basically just scraped my leg on the ring. It fucking hurt.
Was it a low set ring or a normal height?
Higher.
They're actually a bit of a bastard to get into, aren't they?
Yeah, they fucking are.
Yeah, I'm always amazed that these wrestlers kind of just fly up and slide across the apron.
I'd love to be able to
do that.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to.
No, I can't do that.
But the thing is, so these guys who wrestle with us, they're fucking amazing and they're wonderful people, but they dislike me to a massive extent.
Yeah.
So me going into anything like that, I'm like, can I practice for a bit trying to get into a ring? I don't want them to hate me more.
Do they legitimately hate you then?
I don't think they give a shit.
They're just like, oh, that's that guy who warbles on the mic.
Yeah, that's
I think that's probably more you than it is anybody else.
Oh, no, it massively is. It's my...
Most wrestlers are very, very kind towards the MC, videographer, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. No, they are. And some of them... my whole thing is, I'm not the type of person to go around and... Simon Miller, for example. Simon Miller will go to every single person in a room and say hello. And you go out of his way to do so. Did when I first met him at the first Coliseum show. You know, I'm not that person because I'm not that. I don't think people are that enthused by me being there. So me going up and going, hi, it's nice to see you. It feels like I'm going, like they're going, nah, it's really not.
Who the fuck are you? When you're the videographer, nobody even knows you're there half the time. So
that's usually better.
Don't know.
Like they have to know I'm there.
I got beaten up by the tag team champions on Saturday.
You did?
Yeah, I got jumped.
Did you know?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I accidentally got in the way a couple of times during the match, so they sort of dragged me in the ring and basically announced that I would be part of the tag team gauntlet in September.
Oh, nice.
Which I do not have a choice in the matter. So got to find myself a tag partner for September now.
When is it?
September the 30th.
What am I doing September the 30th?
Selling Molly?
I mean, probably.
Yeah. It's a daily occurrence.
Well, I have to get money somehow.
So do I. That's why I'm getting so much heat.
So what else do you want to talk about, sir?
Don't know. No, it's just been all encompassing, like just this one sort of main thing, not necessarily just that show, but like all the heat I'm getting, and you know, it's weird. You don't think it's gonna like. It doesn't matter how much it comes; it still affects you. Like I think it hurts more when it's people that used to be your friends or you thought were, you know, were
Yeah.
better than maybe they were.
I think I've missed something because I didn't realize you were getting heat.
I mean, I don't announce it because ultimately, what's the point? The more you talk about it, like I do believe, like I've been, a few friends recently that I've made who have sort of said to me that, what's the point of putting on social media that you're angry or you're sad all the time? Like, what's it? And they're kind of right. Like, there's more strength in being strong than there is in just victimizing yourself.
There's a difference.
So I just kind of think, eh, it'll all pass. It always does.
Now, there's a difference between victimizing yourself and airing your own thoughts. And airing your own thoughts isn't victimizing yourself.
No, but then I guess the argument could be made that if you're airing your own thoughts, you're obviously looking for a certain level of sympathy if you're putting on social media, ultimately.
No, you're just shouting into the world.
Yeah, but ultimately, why do we have Facebook profiles?
True, but if that's the argument, then I don't give a shit about whether someone's got a cat or a dog. I don't give a shit whether you've gone to Disney four
Yeah, but
times
that's
this fucking year.
unfortunately
Grow up.
social media in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, I don't give a shit about anyone's shitty status updates. Unless it's something really cool, when a mate shares like so. I did hear an interesting argument from one of my friends, and he was absolutely bang on in my opinion. It's the way people react now to social media is a very good microcosm of what's wrong with our society. So he said, right, imagine you get booked to work for WWE or AEW. Aaron Nix finally makes the big time, right? If you put on your status tomorrow, oh, I'm getting to work with an AEW star or a WWE star, you'll get a fair few people responding, oh, congratulations, mate, blah, 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 a few likes, whatever. But he said, if you put up a status saying that you want to kill yourself because you're so unhappy and so low, I guarantee you'll get 3 times more interaction.
Yeah.
And it's true because I think, and he made this argument and it really sat with me. And I think it's true, at least it is for me. And obviously it's not for everyone. There's always going to be different layers to these things. But I think overwhelmingly people on social media will, particularly, obviously, they'll gravitate because it's an echo chamber. So you're going to surround yourself with people who mimic you or you feel are on your level. Otherwise, we'd all be friends with like fucking Katy Perry or whoever. It's that thing of when you see somebody who's down, you might genuinely want to care and look after them or help them out or offer words of advice or blah, blah. But secretly, there is a large subsection of people who subconsciously, I think, enjoy the fact that somebody who might be deemed a success to some is maybe failing or is struggling in a certain way, because then it's like misery loves company. It's that argument. And it's that thing of we're far more likely to support somebody when they're having difficulties as opposed to supporting their success.
Yeah, because we want to be seen as sympathetic. And we feel so sympathetic is an easier thing to process.
But I believe in the argument that people enjoy it when, so it maybe it's very predominantly an English trait. We seem to be kind of almost bitter towards other people's success a lot of the time. Not everyone, but there's a large subsection of our community that's like that. Where they'll go on social media and it doesn't matter how much they genuinely like somebody or whatever. If Aaron Nix posts several times over a few weeks about his successes in the industry or what he's doing in his life and whatever, people are like, yeah, good for you, man. But ultimately, if I'm struggling or, I'm more on the level with the average man for whatever reason, depending on what that level is, they're going to be a little bit more satisfied with that. Because it's that idea of people, I think, deep down don't want you to be too successful because then he can't relate to you.
I think that's a bit too deep. The reason why I say it's too deep is because I don't think people don't want others to have success. I just don't think people give a shit whether you do or not. Not you, but like people in particular.
Yeah.
So when I do my radio, Again, I'm very proud of my radio. I get more interaction when I post something stupid about my kids than I do about anything to do with my own personal radio or anything like that. And it's not because people don't want me to do well. It's just they don't give a shit. It's not something that they can relate to.
But that's kind of my point, isn't it? Like, they can't relate to it.
Yeah, but it's not, I don't think it's to do with anything. I don't think it's got anything to do with people don't want to see you do well, because people do want to see you do well. It's just they don't give a shit. They can't empathize with it. If they can't empathize with it, they're not going to say anything about it.
But therein lies the problem for me, because you should be able to empathize with somebody, whether they're successful or not, anyway, especially on an emotional level.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, for instance, you know, we probably both have friends in our industry who are supremely successful and make a lot more money than we do. And at no point do I sit there and think, God, you know, like, I'm not going to share this shit, because it's like, you know, case in point, obviously social media, it's a very thinly veiled argument anyway, because what does it mean, really, if someone shares your shit or not? But how many times do people, you know, you sort of send them a link and they won't share it, or they, you know, like, I'll make really, really impressive videos. I know they're impressive because I work fucking hard on them.
Yeah.
And the overwhelming majority of my social media friends, and even people that are actually friends with me in real life, they don't share it. And I think, okay, that's fine. But those same people are the ones who are screaming about how nobody supports them in their adventures and things like that. And it's just like, well, you're not doing
Weirdly,
the same with me.
Genuinely, I wanted to talk about this last week because I feel exactly the same fucking way. So we're, I think, both both on the same side of this coin, where we are two people who will actively support people in our industry. And even if they're not in our industry, we would support them and share their stuff because we like, I love you as a person. I want you to do well, and I would do everything in my fucking power to improve that. We're both that person. You do it for me.
Because we're creatives, aren't we?
I don't even think it's that. You know, I think I want people that I love to do well. That's where I like. Yet I have so many people in my industry, in what I do, you know, not give a shit. And it's fucking difficult. You sit there and it feels like you're pissing in the wind because you're trying to do your best. And others are like, yeah, I'm doing amazing. I'm like, yeah, but I was supporting you when you were fuck all. And I've been sharing your stuff for God knows how fucking long. Can you do me a favor and just say that I'm here? That pissed me off last week. I had a lot of that last week. So no, I feel exactly the same way.
I think it's frustrating when you know, it's not necessarily people close to either. It could be something really mundane. So, you know, that same person I was speaking to said, you know, you've made some videos that are pretty special, lights out, you know, these incredible cinematics and things like that. And they might get, you know, like one of my best ones, I think, got like 50 or 60 shares. And, yeah, that's great. And like, again, I quantify it by saying, yeah, I know that that's not a be all and end all. People like, you shouldn't put too much stock in and stuff. But ultimately, if you're putting it out on social media, that's what's going to get you success. The more people share it, or the
unfortunately, in our industry, we don't get anywhere without a social media.
Exactly. So even though we don't want to put stock in it, we have to, because ultimately that's what's going to help us get work. Bottom line is, do you think I'm able to work for all these different promotions? You've seen all the logos on my fucking cover photo. Do you think I would have got those if I hadn't, you know, got shares and, you know, created more content and things like that? Of course I fucking wouldn't. If I just sat there and gone, I know I'm good and it will come to me. Yeah, that's not how that works. It's just not, especially not in this age. But it's that thing of, yeah, you know, you could go on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and there'll be a video of a girl just walking down the road in high heels with a miniskirt, and it'll get like 3 million views because she's hot. Fair enough. But then, like, you know, what's that taking, like 10 seconds to record and just stick out there? someone like myself might pour over a video for 20, 30 hours in a week just to get it just right. You release it, 9 likes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to feel slighted in that kind of regard, because you just think, I know in terms of reward, I should get more than the person who's just recorded something flippantly on their smartphone for 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, massively get that. I had a
And
conversation.
that kind of, it's hard not to feel jaded and angry at our society in general when you see that, because more and more people obsess over pointless shit as a meaning. How many people, and don't get me wrong, I like TikTok as well. I generally tend to find myself watching a lot of horror videos and conspiracy shit. But like for instance, you'll be scrolling through TikTok, just some video of a girl dancing to, I don't know, Black Eyed Peas or some shit. 30 seconds long, 7 million likes. Like, just because she's hot. Because, and I get it, sex sells, traction sells, things like that. But
I think it's a double-edged sword, is that? And I had a conversation with a friend of mine about it. They're female. They try and stream, and they've got a bigger platform than I have. And they said, "Oh, it's so difficult." I went, "Well, no, it's easier to get traction as a female in this line of work." She goes, "No, it's not. It's a lot harder." I went, "No, it's easy to get traction."
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're not going to suffer more, because you are, because of ultimately.
Yeah. Would I prefer to be a male streamer with 0 views than to be a female streamer that has to deal with all the shit that they do? Yeah, I'm fine just talking to myself for 2 hours, thanks.
Depends how much money I'm making.
Again, even then, the type of shit that they have to fucking deal with, the absolutely disgusting messages that they have to deal with. And
it's like, look at the evil that gets levied at like our football players, especially the black ones.
Yeah.
And it's that thing, and nobody's saying that like it's okay to racially abuse it, because it's not. But it's that thing of, if I'm in, Marcus Rashford's shoes, for instance, and I'm getting paid still £3 million a year to essentially have talented feet, I'm going to find it much easier to tolerate a load of abuse than if I'm Aaron Nix, the podcaster, who has, I don't know, 640 subscribers and gets death threats once a month. Like, like it.
Yeah, but that is it's a difficult argument. I mean, I'm talking as a straight white man. You're a vaguely straight, vaguely white man.
Vaguely white.
Yeah.
Been a while, hasn't it? Been a while. You had to,
It's an upgrade from what I usually call it.
You're softening on that stance. I mean,
yeah.
I'm over here with a fake tan, like.
Because this is the argument. You are someone with a racial background, and you've spoken before about the.
When you say it like that, it sounds really bad, doesn't it? You've got a racial background, I volunteer at the KKK from time to time.
Yeah, your family have been involved with lynchings. We know that type of shit.
My mum probably has, yeah. I can believe that shit for a
but
minute.
your background has suffered, and you've even said yourself that you've suffered with racism and all that type of shit. Even if even when you get popular and when you get rich from doing the shit that you do, those comments can fucking hurt. And it doesn't matter how much cash you've got. It doesn't matter how big a house you have to go back to. It doesn't matter how beautiful a woman that you have to go back to. People calling you disgusting shit is going to affect you more than the positive stuff.
But you can still drive your Ferrari home, so it's all good.
You can. Don't turn this around. Don't do this of you making the flippant comments and me being the serious, genuine one.
That's not, to be honest though, so it's the old adage, isn't it? Money doesn't buy happiness. No, not necessarily.
But it buys whores.
But yeah, exactly. And whores provide happiness, god damn it.
Yeah, they do.
It's very, do you know what? People who say, more often than not, it's the people who don't have any money who say money doesn't buy happiness. It's like, that's easy for you to say. You're homeless. If you find happiness from, things that require no money at all, good, absolutely good. But then it's also on the flip side. When people say money doesn't buy happiness, I don't agree. I think it does to a certain degree. Are you and your children, for instance, existentially happier because you have a mortgage and a house that you own?
You're equating two things that aren't necessarily true. Am
But
I
you,
am I rich? No.
no, but
Am
then
I
at the
well
same
off? No.
time, you still need some money to provide, things, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that your children won't be happy unless you buy them a shit ton of presents or whatever.
It
But
depends on
let's
their mood. Little
Well, yeah,
fuckers.
exactly. I mean, they're kids, aren't they? But ultimately, it's that thing of, when people say money doesn't buy happiness, it's like, yeah, but it makes life a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. It does make life more comfortable.
And comfort normally equates to a certain degree of happiness.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It buys comfort, but it doesn't matter how comfortable you are. The extra thing on top of it will always make things worse. So, for example, for any female out there, they could be the fucking richest person in the world. Yeah, someone comes up to you and goes, I'm going to rape you unless you do what I say. You having a massive hot tub in your garden isn't going to help. You can be an absolute millionaire. You being called the N word over and over again and threatened to be lynched. Again, yeah, you can drive home in your Ferrari, but you're driving home crying. I would rather be poorer and not have to deal with that shit.
Whereas I'd rather be richer and deal with that shit. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because at least then I'd know that it's like, it's okay. Because it's like, there's that thing of like, yeah, it sucks. But then I'm poor now and I get that shit. So, it's
But
like,
the shit you're getting, is it because of your background or is it because of you're just a loudmouth cunt?
I mean, to put it that way, obviously people are going to think, well, he deserves it then, doesn't he? I think definitely people buy into the gimmick too much, or they buy into the sometimes it's not buying in. Sometimes people just don't like it if you're honest. They don't. Honesty really hurts people these days. And I think in a society where we're more sensitive than ever before, if someone comes up to you and says, well, that was shit because you did this, this, and this, people are more likely to be hurt than ever before because, they just, there's no getting away from it. We live in the most sensitive environment we've ever lived in.
Yeah,
And
but for good reasons, though.
Yeah, but also not good reasons as well. Like for me, so I had this really there's this woman in my life that I get on with really well. Not a relationship way, but we've struck like a really good friendship recently and get on really well. We had this really heated argument the other day because I get tired of people wallowing in their self-pity and their victimization. Because for me, you know what? If something bad happens to you, I get it. And there's emotional reactions and things that come with it. But after a while, you got to pick yourself up and get on with it. And some people don't. They genuinely love being a victim. They fetishize it. They go online and they every single day is, oh, it was such a huge achievement that I was able to get out of bed today. And it's like, it was some days that is an achievement and you should be proud of yourself, but not every fucking day. Not if you're a normal functioning human being who has a job and stuff like that. Obviously I'm not saying if you're disabled, because people will be like, what about me? I haven't got any fucking legs. Shut up, Carl. It's that thing of, that's a different story. But if you're a fully functioning person with a relative level of health and you're having like a mental difficulty or whatever, nobody's saying that's an issue. It's not. Work through it. But, some people latch onto it. They do. And those people fucking frustrate me because what they do is they then oversensitize and help contribute to a culture where it's okay to just be weak all the time. Like we live in a society, right, where people say, it doesn't matter what your body size is, you're beautiful. And to a certain degree, that's true. But for instance, right, there was a really good news article. It was this girl. She was 15. This girl, right, and she was 20 stone. And the whole thing was that her mother felt that she had to keep giving her McDonald's because that's what made her happy. So she would feed her McDonald's every single day, right? And people were like coming out and saying in under the article and stuff like, oh, well, it doesn't matter that she's obese or that she eats too much. As long as she's happy, she's still beautiful. And I was like, no, I don't agree with that. That's not true at all. Like,
to you,
because to me, and also, yeah, but the thing is, right, she might die when she's 20 from a heart attack. In which case, and then we're all turning around and saying, well, you should have eaten so much, obesity, bad health, blah, blah, blah. But in the moment, we want to, like, when people say to me, oh, it doesn't matter if you're overweight. Yes, it fucking does, because it damages your health. It's not healthy to be overweight. It's not healthy to smoke 20 a day. It's not healthy to fucking drink 20 pints a day. Yeah, in moderation, by all means, have a drink, have a smoke, have a vape, whatever. But you know what? Don't empower people to damage themselves. I don't think that's good for our society at all.
This is where our catchphrase comes in. It's the fucking grey area. It's that grey area in the middle. It's where apathy means more than anything fucking else. Because yes, if that's what makes her happy, fucking let her do it. Is she beautiful? Would you fuck her? It's up to you. You know, any type of beauty is subjective. Oh, she's beautiful without it. Well, I'm glad you think so. I think she looks like a mound of butterscotch pudding. Right?
What an image.
On the other hand, I'd probably do Lizzo.
Who?
Lizzo, the songer. The songer? The songer. I'm going to say songer.
You having a stroke?
Yeah.
The songer.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Nia Jax. You know? Yeah. Anti-vaxxer. Quite fit. You know, she's...
It's this. I'm going to put your Tinder.
Yeah.
Anti-vaxxer. Quite fit.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd come in her eye, but only because I've had both vaccines and hopefully I'll get through by osmosis, right?
That's not how that works. Well, I hope it's not. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of bukakis going on this weekend.
Yeah, there is. Only from me.
Come on, Morecambe. Come on down.
I fucking will be coming on it.
That was in the joke. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So the rest of it, you know, the grey area in the middle is, yeah, you let her do what the fuck she wants, but when she dies early because of it, how are you surprised?
You know? But that's what frustrates me. Like, you know.
Yeah, but the big thing is your anger towards it is as bad as their pussiness towards it. The transgender issue, their militance towards it, is as bad as the J.K. Rowling side of it.
Yeah, but that's an entirely different premise, because what we're talking about is someone being allowed to freely express themselves.
Yeah, but no, anything
12
like
Big Macs a day is not an expression.
It is to them.
Well, it fucking isn't. It just isn't.
But no, but
that's a conscious decision to sabotage or damage yourself for whatever reason, and sometimes those reasons are more valid than others. But, you know...
Or maybe they just fucking like food.
Yeah, I mean, I like food too. And I know for a fact that I am morbidly obese. I am actually, by the NHS standards, morbidly obese, right?
But do you want to do something about it?
Hey?
Do you want to do something about it?
Well, that's why I'm in the gym 2 or 3 times a week at least, and drinking more water and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's that thing of, if you're making some sort of conscientious decision to try and help yourself, then, you know, by all means, whatever. Like, you've got to go through it, or you've got vices, whatever it is. But that's where my issue lies, is some people don't take accountability whatsoever. They don't.
Yeah.
But they're the first people to cry about how shit their lives are.
The accountability is the thing that's where the middle ground is. Because you find someone that is morbidly obese and that is, you know, fucking huge, and they're complaining, oh, I can't get out of bed in the morning. Well, you need to do something about it then. People who are large and are going, no, I fucking live this life. This is who I am. Then fucking go for it. You live your life. But shit beans, if you die early, yeah, it's a shame. That was your choice.
Not for the casket makers, that ain't. That's extra money.
It's the middle ground is where everything matters and where the truth lies. And someone's outrage, or Piers Morgan's outrage to someone being, non-binary is as bad as as the person who's shouting, well, sex is non-binary and it's a spectrum and it's they're both the same person, just on a different side of the argument. The truth is in the middle.
Why do you think like, I'm genuinely curious, and I think this is where we could maybe lead to getting another guest on, because I'd love to grill them. So I'd like to obviously quantify this by saying that I'm not in any way subscribing to any kind of hate or phobia towards people of any choice. But when somebody comes up to me and says, I'm non-binary, I don't classify as a gender, I'm fascinated as to why that is.
Yeah.
Is that a conscientious decision? Is that a decision that is just within you? Like, so, because for me, it's that thing of, if you want to be non-binary, that's fine. But you still have DNA and biology that is states through. What I find interesting is, and again, people are probably going to say, oh, you're being phobic or whatever. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I find interesting is someone comes up to me, they have, this is just a, spitballing example. So I don't know, a young man comes up to me, right? And he's dressed as a woman and he says, I identify as a woman. Okay, not a problem. But you have all the biological makeup of a male, and you have and science itself says you are a male. So when that person says, no, I'm not, do we have to in that moment? So this is just no overall question. I'd love somebody to come on and educate me on this. Do we have to say, okay, science is irrelevant because this is how you feel?
I will counter that argument in one word.
Well, it's not an argument because I'm just asking out.
Yeah, but no, I will counter all of that feeling in one word, and it's not a flippant word. It's the word hermaphrodite. We are all created as women. DNA and genetics and hormones choose whether or not we are male or female. If you're male, your ovaries turn into testicles, they drop and turn into bollocks. You're female, they stay the same. Your genetic makeup can be a bit different. The chemicals in your head, the chemicals are all around your body can be completely different. Your brain tells you one thing. Your hormones tell you another. Which is correct?
That's what I'm asking is, which is correct?
There isn't an answer.
So if that's the case, then there is no answer. And it's up to choice, essentially. Are we right to sort of, so if trying to fit, thankfully, I don't know anyone who's like, high. I'm trying to think, I don't know. I mean, I assume J.K. Rowling is very anti-trans. That's kind of what I'm getting the impression of.
No, apparently she's not anti-trans. She's pro-woman.
Okay.
Fuck you, Rowling. Make your fucking mind up.
Great books, though.
And as for Graham Linehan, right? You don't get an argument. You're a fucking man.
Who?
Graham Linehan, the guy who did Father Ted.
Why is he? Oh, really? Has he started kicking off?
He has ruined his career, his marriage, his relationship with his children, because he was told that he couldn't have he was told that he should go one way rather than the other. And now that's his mindset now. It's the thing I get with a lot of these right-wing pundits.
I mean,
So
he
you
was
get,
told to go one way or another, what, politically or
yeah,
sexually?
he was told to go.
I don't have any context. I don't know.
He was basically told, yes, you should be pro-trans rather than anti-trans.
Okay.
And he's going, no, women should have space. You're not a woman. You don't get to say what women should or shouldn't have. Fuck you.
But is it not concerning that he's being told whether he should be pro or not?
Again, it's nothing to do with him. No, he shouldn't be told, but that's because he shouldn't have an opinion.
But he does. That's just the way it's going to be. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. Whether they should have it or not is obviously always up for debate.
In which
but
case,
everyone's got one. Even you probably have an opinion.
If you've got my opinion is let them argue between themselves. You know, there's been a lot of things in the news recently about a trans cyclist who won a medal, and everyone's like, "Oh, but it shouldn't happen." Let that argument happen between trans athletes and the governing body of that sport.
So
let it happen between them and the athletes that they're against. If the athletes are pro them, then the argument's over. That's it. You can't say it from the outside if you're not physically fucking involved with it.
But you know that if they're not, there's going to be an overwhelming reaction from the pro community that they're out of line.
But that is a null argument because you're not involved.
So their argument is nullified as well. Then, okay, that for me.
Unless you are
very
trans,
reasonable response.
Yeah, unless you are trans, and unless you are a woman, and if you're a trans person in the community, and a woman in the community, or so if you're a trans boxer and a female boxer, it is up to you two whether you have the fight. It is up to the governing body of that bout as to whether you have the fight. And the only people
MMA thing, isn't it? Have you seen the thing with the MMA fighter who's trans?
Again, another perfect example.
But it's that thing of their overwhelming genetic makeup is of male dominance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that, they don't want to be a woman, because they do. And they might be even post-op, but they have the build, the physique, the power of a man.
Mm-hmm.
So this now classified as a woman went into an octagon and beat, like, physically was so overwhelmingly damaging, was literally beating some of these women into a coma.
Mm-hmm.
So when people reacted to that and said that is not a pro in any way, that's not a good thing, because essentially it's so lopsided.
Mm-hmm.
And then when women fighters in MMA came out and said, we don't think that's right, and you shouldn't be in a women's division just because you classify as a woman, people were like, that's because you're transphobic. No, it's because they don't want to fucking die.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say something now that's going to piss people off.
Probably.
I agree with it. So women should be paid less.
Really?
Do women do the same job as men physically?
So, for instance, tennis, you think the women should get paid less than the men?
Do you think women should get paid less than men?
No.
Do you think a trans woman shouldn't play in the same sport as a biological woman?
Again, by the letter of what you're saying, if the overwhelming majority of females in our sport are saying that's not fair, then no, they shouldn't.
Then you can't have both. If one thing's got to be fair, everything's got to be fair.
But I've made that argument on this podcast before, haven't I? True equality is us not recognizing anything.
Yeah. No, exactly that. Everything, it has to be one thing or the other. It can't be.
But this is why people who come out and argue for we deserve equality, we deserve equal rights, etc., etc. Okay, cool. Let's let the women play American football with the men. Bloodbath. It is. It's just a bloodbath. It will be. Okay, let's put Ronda Rousey in the ring with, I don't know, John's Bones Jones. She's probably going to get fucking annihilated.
I don't know who that is.
It's a very, very prominent, arguably, he's considered the greatest UFC fighter in the world at the moment. He's a terrible human being, to be honest. But
he's a UFC fighter. Of course he fucking is.
Well, I mean, ultimately, he gets, it's a subsection of a community where they are allowed to kick people in the heads for large amounts of money. So, of course, they're not going to be well adjusted, are they?
Yeah, fuck them.
It's a difficult one because I imagine people would listen to this conversation and go, "Oh, Aaron Nix is transphobic." Not in the slightest.
No, it's all to do for me.
I'm trying to ask questions about. So there's really in society, as I've been growing up, I've noticed that one of the really big debates or the really big things that really defines us as human beings is whether we land on the side of science or religion. That seems to be one of the big hot topics. Anyone can have that debate and talk about it. But then, and people will say, well, if you don't land on the side of science, you're an idiot, because science is about, intellectual intelligence and facts as opposed to theories and what some people might argue is fiction. And don't get me started on Noah's Ark, because that is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my life. But it's that thing of, it just is. And do you know what? I love the conversation I have with my little sisters because they're devout Islamic and they look at me and think, even bastard in every sense. And my little sister, who is literally my life, says to me all the time, I hate to say it, bro, you're probably going to go to hell. And I'm like, literally, she thinks that because she has, she studies the Quran and she's very sort of, and she, so she's told me all about the Quran and I'm fascinated by it. I find it really interesting. I'm not one of these people who's like, religion, I'm not even going to listen. You can't listen because otherwise you don't have any basis for an argument. You have to know what you're talking about and what you're arguing against. You can't just say, I don't believe religion, so your thing's bollocks. Read the fucking Bible, read the Quran. Then if you think it's bollocks, fine. You can't say it's bollocks unless you've actually looked at the fucking context. It's like saying, that film's shit. Have you seen it? No. What? Well, then shut up and watch the film and then tell me it's shit afterwards. But it's that thing of, what I find fascinating is that we overwhelm it. For instance, with vaccinations, right? You are very much landing on the side of people who are anti-vaxxers and morons, right? Which is fine. But on the flip side, when we say, medicine, science, which, by the way, all of that falls under science. It does. We have medicine. We have incredible advances in all because of science. And yet, when science says these are the biological facts of who someone might be, and then someone comes out online and says, yeah, but I identify as a dolphin, we then say, yeah, science doesn't have a say. It's that person's right to be a dolphin. And it's that thing of, okay, so why do we get so hot under the collar about things like anti-vaxxers and stuff like that then?
Disagree with the dolphin bit. Because if you identify as a dolphin, just go and die in a hole.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right?
Fucking grow up. You're not a child.
That's the thing, right? Where do we stop with the identification process? So an interesting thing that I was told, now I don't know the exact numbers, so I'm not going to sit here and say that this is an indelible fact, but I've been told by a number of people that we used to have just two genders, right? Male and female. Many moons ago, back in the war and all that shit. And that's whatever, we evolved. But now I believe there's 74 different genders that we can identify as. So that's fine. Like, that really, really doesn't bother me in the slightest. But where do we stop with that?
Again,
because we could just keep making more and more.
You're assuming that the argument is binary, where it's not. The argument is somewhere in the middle. Someone claiming that they are the 74th gender, grow up a bit. Someone claiming there are only two. Open your mind a bit. The thing with science is, yes, science biologically says that there is a man and a woman. Science only knows so much. And the beauty of science is they keep on researching. They keep on trying to explain. They grow their thoughts. You know, everyone thought that the sun revolved around the earth until science proved that it didn't. People thought,
did it though?
Fuck off with your flat earth shit. You can shit off with that.
I love bringing up flat earth because it immediately fucking winds people up. And it's like, I don't subscribe to flat earth at all, but I love it's like the
it's just contrary shit.
It's the one thing that really gets people hot, doesn't it?
But it's the reason being is because it's so fucking contrary.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, but the thing is, most people don't make that argument. When you go out to someone, and if you went out to somebody, even if you were joking or not, and you said, I believe the earth is flat, people are like, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Of course it's fucking not. But who gives a shit either way? Are you going to
no, that's,
out?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's where I land. I'm like, I don't give a fuck either way because I'm not going over the Antarctic wall to find out. So I don't give a fucking shit. And none of us are.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, don't tell me that you wouldn't be fascinated if somebody said to you, here's a helicopter. We're actually going to fly over Antarctica. We're going to keep going and we're going to see what happens. You'd still take it because.
And do you know what would happen? Do you know what would happen?
You'd wind up in Australia, mate.
Yeah, but also flat earthers would say, nah, it's fake because they're fucking cunts. They're a bunch of people who have thought of their argument.
No, so you're not entitled to call people cunts because you don't know. Because
I actually
live in a woke society.
I actually do.
I identify as a flat earther, and you have to respect my position.
No, I don't respect your position. But the thing is, with science being like that, with it always progressing, we only think that there are two genders because we don't know what is actually happening here. We've got an idea. We've got an idea what the chemicals do.
We can only look at our biological makeup, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. So
you've got a penis, therefore you're a man.
But there are people where they have been assigned that after birth because there is a genetic problem with them. So hermaphrodites are real things because the body hasn't decided whether it is female or not.
One of our best friends has a hermaphrodite dog.
There we go. It happens. If proof were needed that sex isn't binary.
But if you're, but that's still, again, biologically, you become a hermaphrodite for whatever reason. I'm not going to subscribe and sit here and say that I know because I fucking don't. I have no clue. I'm not that clued up when it comes to general biology and stuff like that. I'm just not. I have a very kind of simple mindset in that regard of what I know and what I've learned. I was terrible at science anyway. But, if you're born a hermaphrodite, then you're a hermaphrodite. So if the hermaphrodite turns around and goes, no, I'm a man. So, yeah, but science is telling us that you're not. And I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm more curious as to why we are so ferocious. Also, because I remember you said, because I said we're overwhelmingly woke, and you said, actually, we've always been woke. It's just that we now have the tools to kind of express that more. Is that the same, do you think, with for instance, trans communities and stuff like that? That's always been a strong one.
It's always been there.
I'm generally fascinated by trans history. I'd love to learn more about it because for me, it's that thing of.
Even so, anyone even who has the argument of whether gay people are natural or not, go back further than Jesus. Go back to ancient Greece. Go back to the first fucking people in the world.
All those ancient Greeks knew how to party.
They were fucking each other senseless.
Yeah, right? They were.
And it didn't matter what sex you were. People were gay back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
People were trans back in the day. People were non-binary back in the day.
Do you think the trans thing, do you think that so I would like to think that overwhelmingly in modern society, being gay is just kind of being gay now. Like, I don't feel like it's as vaunted as it used to be. But trans still is.
Yes, because
So do you
it's
think that it's gonna? Do you feel like in 100 years we're not gonna give a shit about trans? There'll be something else.
that's the thing.
That's what I'm
I
curious about because
yeah,
we're not
I
gonna be here to see that.
so yeah, I don't think any of that will. The only reason for the trans debate is hate. At the end of the day, it's hate. That's all it is. You can argue with some people about, women's safe spaces and all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, it's hate. Because, yes, you may feel, so a lot of, I don't want to say whether or not people's worries about the safe space debate is they're lying, or whether they're truthful, or whether they have experienced anything like that. That is up to them. It's completely up to them. But again, the conversation isn't going to be had with people who agree with her. It's got to be had with people who disagree. It's got to be had with the actual community. If you feel that way and you have had that type of stuff happen to you, you need a proper sit down and debate. Obviously not in close quarters, but a sit down and a debate with those people to say, that wasn't us.
That was just an individual's motivation.
Yeah, that was that person. That wasn't us.
Do you think people are using too much of the individual motivation as an excuse to be maybe transphobic?
A lot of people are, yes. I do think that J.K. Rowling is, because when was the last time she went to a public fucking shower? When was the last time she went into
delving into that?
When's the last time she went to fucking Brockwell Lido to go for an old swim?
Can I just say as well, right? I'm pretty sure I've said this before in this podcast. Moaning Myrtle, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty hot.
Bit
cheeky.
Comedy actress. I'm trying to see what else she was in.
So during Harry Potter, right, when that's filmed, so she plays essentially a child, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Right. Now, there's a scene in Harry Potter, which for most people probably know what I'm talking about, where she's hitting on Harry Potter when he's, he's in the bar, right? Yeah. Now, so Harry Potter is, so they're both, okay, I get it. Okay. By the way, I don't think it's real. Settle down. But it's what makes me laugh about it is the thing of when they film that, she's like 30 and he's like, what?
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
It's that. Oh, that blows my mind when I think about it. And then you sit there and you think, if I was 14 and Mona Murta was hitting on me, I don't give a shit. She's 30, I'll bang her. Fucking off. I don't give a fuck. And then it made me realize
that way round's fine, I think.
Is it acceptable for me to find Moaning Myrtle attractive?
Yes. Because because it's the other way around.
30 in real life.
Yeah. Because she's 30. You find Hermione attractive in the same film.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, like Emma Watson now.
I was going to say Emma Watson now. God, pow.
Beautiful human being. You found her sexy in those movies. You fucking sort yourself
out. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the Sun had a countdown to her turning 16?
Yes.
That if ever, like,
I think they even did the same with Millie Bobby Brown, I think, as well, from Stranger Things.
Fucking disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Because what that is essentially doing is making, in some ways, paedophilia acceptable to an overwhelming portion of our society. You're empowering that behavior. That's fucking scary.
It's fucking true.
That scares the shit out of me. But I'll tell you what doesn't scare the shit out of me. Moaning Myrtle hitting on me when I'm a kid. I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't I get to go to a school like that? I want hot ghosts in glasses hitting on me. I bet she's a freak as well.
So yeah, I again, it's another case of I shouldn't be right, but I am right.
That is very much what you'll have on your headstone, I think.
It is.
He shouldn't have been right, but he always was.
Yeah. No, it's fucking true. Like the argument between the UFC fighters and the trans UFC fighters, that's an argument that needs to be had with them. And it needs to be a proper sit-down argument. It needs to be a conversation. And the actual reasons for each need to be put on the table. Because, yeah, if you don't want...
1 second. Sorry about that,
Gen-
ladies and gentlemen.
genuinely forgot where I was.
Do you know what's annoying? I can't be asked to put in the 10 seconds later. I can't be asked. Do you know how long it takes to just go through the video and just be like, where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Oh, there it is.
Oh, so does it just pause, or do you have two separate video files?
No, it just pauses and then restarts.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Just one fluid thing. So I'm just like, oh,
fucking do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Did we get any emails?
Yeah, we did. Well,
Good.
one from Tanvir. We got one from Tanvir.
One
from the 7th of March.
I tagged literally everyone, didn't I, in WhatsApp today, and we didn't get a single
bunch of cunts.
Do you know what? All you cunts are going to be begging for a booking at WrestlePlug Pro, aren't you? Oh, Nick's put me on the card. Oh, Nick's going to have this out. Can't be asked to send a fucking email in. You've all got opinions, and you're allowed to be anonymous as well. You deserve a good spocking. That's what you do.
Tanvir says, "Hey guys, question for you. Do you ever hate how busy you become? Do you love it because you're busy, but also hate it because you have no time to yourself?"
Yes. Very strong answer. I love being busy because it's better for my mental health, and I love the fact that I'm now a guy that everyone comes to me like, "Hey, can you make this? Can you make that? Can you do this? Can you do that?" But the problem is that it's not just good people doing that. You also get arseholes who want to make 55 amendments but still only pay you 30 quid. And then when you explain to them, no, it's taken me weeks upon weeks to get this thing fucking right, so you're going to fucking pay me what I'm worth, then all of a sudden they get shitty.
Yeah. I have the other side of it where I'm not creative. I'm not busy creatively. I'm busy with life and I have to fit creativity around that. And when it gets down to time where I could be creative, I've not got the energy.
I can tell because we ain't dropping that many podcasts.
Yeah. And it's sometimes it is a case of I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah, same. Like I'm fucked at the moment. Absolutely fucked. I've got very little in the tank. I'll be fully honest.
Yeah. So sometimes it's going to happen. But yeah. And unfortunately, I can't like Unix, with your work, you need to do the work you get paid for.
I don't have a choice. I have to keep going. And
Things
people forget that sometimes. And people say to me like, well, why don't you just fucking go and get another job? Because I don't want to have another breakdown. I want to kill myself because I'm working for a cunt who doesn't give a shit about me because I'm another number. That's why.
Yeah.
Not all of us have the ability to work Rishi Sunak like Mark does.
The work that you do, the State of Wrestling address and, the Wrestle Plug podcasts and this, they're not your livelihood. They're things you want to do. You have to do the rest of it. Otherwise, you don't live.
But then I also have to do this. Otherwise, I know I'll go fucking insane. This is my therapy. It's not just a hobby to me. This is kind of like therapy to me.
If I'm your creative therapist,
so
if I'm your therapist, dude, if I'm your therapist, can I get paid?
You ain't my therapist, please.
I'm
not having you therapying on me.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do.
You would love me therapying
like you'd have a choice. Like you'd ever be a top, please.
I'd be a top.
Yeah, top hat. Fucking outrageous. Who are you a top for? A leprechaun?
With the two of us, I will have the bigger cock.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
I will fight you with it.
Well, you think Gary Coleman's going to overpower you?
I will slap you from across the room.
Everyone's got a bigger cock than me.
Even your mum.
Oh, massive.
She's got a clit like Gonzo's nose.
So did China.
See, there's something going on about her. She's, people are saying that she should be in the Hall of Fame.
She technically is because DX went in, including her, but people think she should go in by herself, which I totally agree with.
Same. And if they don't do it because of her adult works, then take Hulk Hogan out of it.
And Mike Tyson, who's a rapist.
Yeah. Again,
take Hulk Hogan out of everything, to be honest. He's a business
and another thing that people don't fucking take notice of. Oh, yeah, we should look after people and, women should be looked after and men who beat women should be fucking ruined and their lives should be ruined. And Mike Tyson and Chris Brown are ace, aren't they? Fuck you.
Uncle Steve Austin.
Yeah. Fuck all of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
I want to fuck all of you.
They're gonna fuck you.
Nobody. Absolutely nobody.
It's got to happen at some point. It's going to be a mind-blowing event. You and Carl
No, it's not.
Wilkinson are at
It's
a
not.
race to the finish.
It's not. It's going to be the. It's going to be the
How
most.
long's it been since you had sex?
In 2 months' time, it will be 4 years.
Fuck me. No wonder you're so bloody intolerable on air. I feel like a seasoned veteran by comparison.
It's genuinely lucky that I've had a vasectomy. Otherwise, my balls would be the size of my head.
Your head does resemble a testicle.
It does.
Why are we getting more questions?
Why can't we get more questions?
Like, no, I'm asking our audience. What the fuck are you up to? They're so lazy.
They're just there watching us wanking off.
Yeah, but they're all in the rest of group chat. Oh, Nix, when's our next games night? Nix, do this. Nix, I'll tell you what, you lazy fucking wank pheasants, right? You got opposable thumbs. Type out a fucking email. You know why? It's because it's an email. If I set up a WhatsApp chat and put a number out there, if we had a dedicated number and I said, just send whatever you like to this WhatsApp, I bet we get shit tons because it's easy. But with emails, people are like, oh, I have to open up an app. Oh, God, it takes like 10 seconds instead of 3 seconds. They're fucking lazy cunts. Send a fucking email in. The amount of people who like ring me up, right? They've got time to spend an hour and a half ringing me up and telling me all about their problems, or listening to all my problems, or telling me about how so-and-so wants to kill me and apparently I'm a master manipulator and all this fucking bullshit that frankly is just noise at this point. Master manipulator, please. I can barely masturbate without crying. And then these people are like...
Isn't that just a Tuesday?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it is Tuesday. I'm almost crying. It's as simple as that.
I wrote a comedy sketch once, which was a camera going through someone's house, and it's dark and you can see flashes of light from a TV, and as it pans round, it goes to a guy's face and he's crying. And throughout all of this, the countdown music's going on. And when he gets to the end of the countdown music, it goes, and it splits up.
I'll worry about you sometimes.
So he's just doing a crying wank to the countdown thing. I wrote that
with sertraline. I'm not even going to try.
I wrote that when I was 17.
Oh. I question our friendship sometimes.
I question me.
When's your next show? April 22nd, isn't it?
April 22nd, over at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And every Monday on another Monday evening show. And what about you? Where are you doing it?
Everywhere. And
where are you spaffing into the audience?
It's not getting into that. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks. Well, this Friday, BCD breakout, Parkstone Trades and Labour Club. I will be the one getting a lot of hate for being the MC and videographer. This Saturday, I will be at Rumble for the 20-man Royal Rumble main event. First of its kind. You'd think a company called Rumble Wrestling would have a lot of Royal Rumbles, but apparently this is the first. Or at least it's the first I've recorded, which is mind-blowing in itself. And then Sunday, I will be at Wrestling Society staring at Nadia Sanford.
Nice.
She's awesome.
Say hello from me and just tell her that it's okay that she has a crush on me. Just, she can message. Doesn't matter. It's fine.
I think it's adorable you think she knows you.
We've met once.
I mean, I met Chris Akabusi once.
Yeah, but we've actually had a conversation.
I had a conversation with Chris Akabusi. I was outside Fratton Park. I was 11 years old. True story. No, he didn't touch me before people ask.
I don't have Sapphire didn't touch me either, don't worry, mate.
Yeah, but that's far more disappointing than Chris Akabusi not touching me.
I don't know, depends on what age you were.
Similar size cocks, though.
What, me and Chris Akabusi?
No, Nadia and Chris Egbers.
All right. Oh wait, or you
She's
when
gonna
you're
kick my ass if
or you
she's
when
never
you're
watched
11,
one of
or
these.
you now?
Hey,
You when you're 11 and you now, is that similar size cocks?
fucking right it is. Jesus Christ. They should donate it to science.
It's like somewhere they can't find it.
Exactly. That's the whole point. They just be like, how does a man with this size skeleton have such a minuscule penis? What the fuck?
It's probably normal size. You're just a massive bloke.
Yeah, it's literally it's because I'm morbidly obese, so about half of it has gone inside me.
No, you're just very tall.
Got a bladder boob, innit?
You're very tall. You're very, built. So it just looks like if your penis was on me, you'd be happy. But if your penis was on me, then I reckon it'd be normal size.
My penis has been on you.
Shh. People know by now we've probably
Anything
already
else?
fucked.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
No, I don't.
Get in touch.
Those two had a fight in the playground. You haven't lived until you've gone to a wrestling show where
it was to do with wrestling. Oh, I thought you just said that they were, it was one Saturday
match,
night.
right? King
Yeah.
of Hell Damien versus the Prophet from the land of Mercia, Leonardo Darwin, who came out dressed as an angel.
Mm.
And they proceeded to then brawl to the outside and went outside and had half their match in a playground.
Nice.
You got to see it. You have to see it. Mind blowing.
Send it to me then, you can.
Fucking, you could sit and watch it with me if you actually dedicated more than a couple of hours a month to me. You don't buy me flowers. You don't buy me clothes. You don't pay attention to me. What the shit, man?
I need to keep you sweet somehow. I can't just always flood you with love and appreciation.
You never do. Ever.
I'll give you the occasional portion.
Like, maybe 1/8 of a pork pie.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And it's normally mostly gelatin anyway.
I don't want to get you fat.
Bit late for that.
I just want to feed you. I want to keep you sustained.
I reckon I'm getting close to documentary fat.
I'm basically treating you like a Fritzl child.
But at least they got laid.
I'm giving you just enough love to keep you alive. I'm honestly not sure that's okay. But
I don't think it is.
But I'm going to keep going with it.
I mean, I just said that at least they got laid. So that, I mean, it, yeah.
Have you seen Barbarian yet?
No.
Good film. That happens in it.
Ugh.
A man basically just fucks all his children and his then grandchildren and then grandchildren, and then a big old fucked up woman comes out and goes, like,
is that the film, is it? What you just... That does not sound like someone I want to watch.
It wasn't. You don't see it.
What the fuck is Barbarian?
It's got Bill Skarsgård in it.
Oh, so it's actually like a high-end film.
Oh, yeah, proper film.
Have you seen Whale
fucking
yet?
Good. Not yet.
Everyone's raging about it, isn't they?
Yeah. I've seen Cocaine Bear.
Is that any good?
It should not be as good as it is.
Is it funny as fuck, is it?
It has no right to be that good.
I love it when they're like, based on a true story. In the loosest sense, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, Cocaine Bear is based on a true story where cocaine was shoved out of a plane, a bear ate it. That's it.
Yeah. But in this film, he goes fucking radio
fucking mental. Oh, God, it was good. But again, the end of it, it's quite tense. They don't just do funny all the way through. At the end, it gets quite tense with the characters that you've kind of grown to have that relationship. Really, really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be abjectly shit.
No, genuinely not. On the other hand, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I'm not watching that. I flatly refuse.
It's not great.
Eeyore deserves better. Okay?
Eeyore's not in it.
No, because he's fucking eaten.
Because Eeyore has died.
Fuck you. Whoever made that. Look at that. Look at him. I've had this since I was 15 years old. He was given to me as a Christmas present. You know, for me, like when I was a tiny kid, Eeyore was like the greatest thing. And by the
Mm.
way, people saying you're a grown man, you have plushies. Yeah, and you probably
Fuck
masturbate
you.
to Transformers.
Anyone who says that, fuck you.
By the way, those same people who moan about that are probably the same people who hate trans people and yet masturbate ferociously to trans porn every night. So shut the
Yep.
fuck up. You know, but it's that
Yeah.
thing that no, fuck you for killing Winnie the Pooh. And the
Yeah.
reason for that apparently was actually because they can't use him because he's
No.
still a protected trademark. Only Winnie the Pooh and Piglet are out there in the public domain. Fun
Yes.
fact: I live 5 minutes from the house of the original writer,
Oh, nice.
and he shares the same birthday as me.
Oh,
And when we take the horse out, we always go past the bridge from the famous books, the
from
Pooh
Pooh
Bridge.
Step,
It's actually
Pooh,
real.
from
It's
Pooh
actually a
Sticks.
real bridge. Yeah, and like I've done the whole thing with throwing sticks through and then watching them go. But
Nice.
it's actually very wholesome.
I like that.
However, right, it's in the arse of nowhere in a place called Hartfield. Blows my mind that there are still Asian tourists there with cameras every week.
It's because it's
They
fucking
get
amazing.
everywhere, don't they? They're like Man United fans. You're only over 5 minutes from one of the bastards.
Mm, it's true. It's fucking
I'm
true.
gonna get flooded with racial abuse now, ain't I? But it is. It's like, and also, right? It's fucking winter down here, right? It's shitting it down with rain. Everywhere's flooded.
How northern do you want to go in this podcast,
I
mate?
have no idea. But
Just because you want to be me, it's fine.
I don't want to be you.
Just
I
shave.
don't want to work with Rishi Sunak. I just don't. But the bottom line is, if you're Chinese or Japanese or whatever it is, and you're thinking, oh, I want to go to Pooh Bridge and take photos and stuff like that, that's cool. But don't. Why are you walking around in like trainers and shorts when it's like -3? And then also coming up to our horse and going, oh, look at a pretty horse. Don't touch the fucking horse because you'll have a cry when it kicks your shitty, ugly looking turnip of a child.
Also, where I live, Pooh Bridge is something different.
I can imagine what Pooh Bridge is in Morecambe. I've just got this image of a load of Northerners who just like
Shitting over the side of a bridge.
Yeah, like literally just like all like squatted over, like, you know, it's like the tourist destination. Everyone's taking selfies while taking a shit. And it's just it's probably the world's most maniacally unhappy ducks that just are going underneath every day. And they're like literally like covered in human excrement to the point where it will end up like that fucking, I can't remember what that music video is where the ducks beat the shit out of all the fucking rowdy youths.
I remember that one.
It's quite a famous dance song. I can't remember it. It's Get Up by somebody. It's called Get Up.
But no, I know there's also a tree.
Don't shit on ducks, please. It's not good.
There's also a tree that's called the dog poo tree, where people can't be asked to carry their bags of dog poo, so they just hang it up on a tree.
Tribute to excrement.
Yeah, it's basically one of the world's worst Christmas tree decorations.
Dip your finger in, and if you can work out what's bark and what's not, you win a prize.
Yeah, just loads of bags of dog poo on a tree, like a scatological Father Christmas.
It's like that tree on Route 66 where everyone hangs their Converse, you know?
Yeah,
but
a worse version,
much sadder. Yeah, like, much more depressing in every sense.
Basically,
my shoes, part of shit.
one of my favorite things to do is travel the country, and anything that's like been dropped on the side of the road or dropped on the pavement, I just take a picture of it and say, dog shit looks weird here. So obviously I'm in a place where when I went to work in the same town, I used to do what's called the dog poo slalom walking to work, because there was not a single bit that didn't have a bit of dog shit on it. So whenever I go anywhere else and there isn't dog shit, anything that's on the floor, I'm like, oh, dog shit looks weird here. Like there was a rapper from Equality Street. There was a used condom. That was a fun one.
Where do you work?
I'm very lonely.
War-torn Syria?
Well, I live up north, mate.
It's not that bad. Well, some places are.
It's not that great.
Grimsby, mate.
We're better than Blackpool. We're better than Blackpool.
Blackpool is such a shithole, isn't it?
Yeah.
But because people see it as the holiday destination, it's a fucking toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what's really underrated? Skegness. It's not that bad.
Do you know what else is really underrated?
Sex.
Rimming.
And Rimmer.
Oh, that excited me.
Red Dwarf excited. By the way, Red Dwarf no longer available on Amazon Prime. Heartbreaking.
Dicks. But do you know what is available? So all the
Your mum.
probably the
I
so the reason why there's been
told your mum's lovely.
The reason why no new Red Dwarfs come out is because there's been issues between Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, two guys who made it.
Yeah.
It is official that they've now come to terms with their arguments, and they are both going to be producing new Red Dwarf things.
Surely everyone's too old at this point.
Well, you never know. I'll be honest with you. If any casting comes up, I'm putting my hat in the ring. I would fucking love to do that.
Nothing. Yeah, the greatest episode will always be the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
It's a good episode.
I love it so much.
It is a very good episode. But for me, one of the best episodes was Quarantine. Series 5. Rimmer gets infected by a holovirus.
Oh, I remember that.
And then starts wearing this big gingham dress and has Mr. Flibbles, the little puppet. But I went through a period of watching the episode and then watching it again with commentary on the top of it.
Oh, awesome.
With them chatting over it. And it was amazing. Really, really interesting.
Is it the cast that are talking over it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because if it was just like, Rob and Doug, I wouldn't be as interested.
But there was an episode but part of that episode, Rimmer's there. He goes, "You think I'm mad? I think you're the ones that are mad." And I could not stop laughing. In the episode themselves, they didn't fucking even mention it. I'm like, how could you not? It was a good episode.
It was a masterpiece of the series.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Even the newer ones.
I haven't watched many of the newer ones. You remember they did before they actually dedicated themselves to a couple of series, they did, I think it was Red Dwarf X or something.
Back to Earth.
The one where they just did free specials. I watched those. And they were okay.
They were all right.
They were in London, weren't they, for that, if I remember rightly?
They were in London. They were also in Manchester as well, because they did a bit at
Coronation Street, right? Yeah. Because obviously Craig Charles is in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
And also he does the Gadget Show on Channel 5.
He does.
She's actually really good. I really like it.
He does.
But that's because I'm a tech kid.
But I just like it as well. But no, the other series, they were better than Back to Earth, but really, really good. And then they did a feature-length one called The Forgotten Land, which was stunning. Like a proper beautiful bit of comedy there. It was just really, really good.
Don't shit on ducks. No need, is it?
No. Unless they ask you, unless it's consensual.
There you go.
And then you can shit on whatever you want. Excluding children, because even if they ask for it, not acceptable.
I'd be really disturbed if a child asked me to shit on it.
You're not hanging around the right places.
Good. Not yet. There's no depths wrestling wants to.
Right. I love what we're doing right now. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to end. We're trying to end the.
I'm not even trying to be funny and end it on something stupid.
I reckon you are.
Stop.
I reckon.
I can't be bothered. I can't be asked to press stop.
What we are both trying to do is say something that would be fun on the last line, but not ending it yet.
But I mean, look where my hands are. The mouse is over there. I can't be asked.
What are we going to do? Just do this for the rest of the night?
Yeah. I think we should see how long it'll go before somebody just says, "Fuck it, I'm off."
But I've not had my tea yet.
You haven't had your tea yet?
No.
What are you having for your tea?
I've got a curry.
No. Are you one of those people who believes that lunch is dinner?
Yeah. Or lunch. Can be lunch as well. Again, I don't give a shit. I call tea dinner as well. I don't give a fuck. Depends on my mood.
And then there's supper as well, isn't there?
Nah, it's just
Very
a snack,
northern
innit?
thing. Like when I go back to Lincoln, like I'm like, oh, I'm going for lunch. They're like, no, you're not. It's 1 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, that's when everyone has lunch. And they're like, no, you don't. You have lunch at dinner time. I'm like, no, you don't. It's very weird.
Well, you can have lunch at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, but they call lunch like I don't get it. They call lunch like dinner and dinner lunch or whatever. It's strange.
Anyone who's that fucking bothered, just wind your neck in.
Well, yeah, it's flat.
I will kill you.
You really hate it that much.
They're just so fucking contrary. And this
What
is
do you
coming
think?
from
What do you
me.
think about the idea of the firmament? Have you heard about that?
It's horseshit.
Yeah. How do you know?
Utter horseshit.
How do you know?
Well,
Well, because
there's
NASA's
the
lying to you,
proof.
mate. How do you know?
There's the proof. But all of this pins on there being a god. That's all it is. All of this pins on there being a god.
What do you reckon?
As there is no god, tis
Aren't you
all
Jewish?
bullshit. Sorry?
Aren't you Jewish?
Only by
Proxy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only when it suits me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you need to feel racially motivated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. When you want to feel like a victim.
When I want to say something vaguely offensive, I'm Jewish.
Oh, that's like me with the Arabic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to use it as a victim thing. I want to use it where I can say really awful things.
What can I get away with, do you think, from a race standpoint?
Beheadings?
Stoning,
Yeah.
bombings. Like, how far do you think I can go racially with like slurs and things?
I mean, I reckon you'd be fine for Browns.
I'd be fine for what?
Browns.
What's their go-tos?
I don't know. Dude, I'm white as fuck. I have no idea. I didn't step anywhere near it.
Just like the shit.
Yeah.
Under the bridge.
Yeah. I didn't step anywhere near anything, like I wouldn't say the P word.
What's the P word?
I'm not saying the P word.
Oh, I actually don't know what you mean by. Are you thinking P word? Do you mean from a racial standpoint or from a sexuality standpoint?
What sexuality begins with P?
Perth. Some people find that offensive, apparently.
Well, again, it's all down to themselves.
By the way, I'm not saying that there's, if that offends you, I apologize. But, P word, I assume you mean the short for a Pakistani individual?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was generally trying to work that out. I was like, it's amazing how fast we move past that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now we're all hung up on words like those words.
Yeah, those words. Yes.
I feel like I was in the South Park episode for a minute then. Oh, naggers. Oh.
So I was playing some tracks for my son on radio, and one of them was by a band called AJR, which was the song called The World's Smallest Violin. And it's quite a fun song, but one of the words in it is shit. Now, me and his mum, we don't kind of like bollock them for swearing. We try and steer them away from it. Sophia's grown up with swearing around her, and she's not she's not sworn. I think she sworn once, just copying her mum, but she's not sworn in conversation. Felix knows there are some swear words, there are some not swear words. And he once sung Teenagers by My Chemical Romance, where the chorus of it was "Teenagers scare the living shit out of me." And he sung shit with such passion, I didn't say anything to him. And he asked me for this AJR song. And I said, yeah, I'll need to edit it. He goes, why do you need to edit it? I said, because there's some naughty words in it. I can't play those on radio. He goes, oh. Also, when I play the song Edging by Blink-182 in the car, whenever the word fuck comes on, I shout, swear, because it makes him laugh and, he doesn't have to hear the word fuck.
How old is it?
6.
It's adorable.
What's even more adorable is the following. He missed me playing the song for him on radio. So I went back, re-listened to the show, and let him listen to me introducing it. And he introduced it. He was there singing along to it, and then all of a sudden he just turns around and goes, "Daddy, why is shit all glitchy?"
He's just like you. It's terrifying.
And I just went, "That because that's the naughty word, mate. I needed to reverse it." He goes, "Oh, am I not allowed to say it then?" I went, "No, it's not. You're not meant to say it." He goes, "Oh, can parents say it?" When parents can say it, but there's a time and a place for it. He goes, "Oh, okay." I said, "Yeah, so we might be able to sing it here. We might be able to sing it with me and your mum, but don't do it in other places." He goes, "Okay." I said, "What aren't you allowed to say?" He goes, "I'm not allowed to say it." I said, "They're perfect, absolutely wonderful." A little knobhead.
The fact that he's excited about the word shit would suggest that maybe one day he might frequent a bridge.
It's not that he's excited by the word shit. He's curious. I think, yeah, we were. He turned around and said, What are other swear words?" I went, "I'm not going to tell you swear words, mate. When we come across them, we'll cross that shitty bridge when it comes to it.
The shitty bridge.
We'll cross the Pooh Bridge when it comes to it."
Sometimes I get bored with the names of our podcast, but I think I'm just going to call this one the shitty bridge.
The shitty bridge.
Yeah, this whole thing has just been a bridge of shit.
Since you've been gone, / the shitty bridge.
Since you've been gone. Oh, that's quite a wholesome story. It was quite sweet, actually. Yeah. Anything else, mate?
Go and watch Cocaine Bear.
I don't like horror movies.
It's not a horror movie.
Does he kill a lot of people, I assume?
He kills a
quite
few
gory?
people. No,
Is it not? Oh, I thought it was like covered in like, fucking
No,
people
no, no.
getting ripped apart and stuff.
There's a little bit of there's a couple of legs torn off, but you don't see the tearing off. You just see the leg. So you know for a fact it's just prop leg. I think the most you see is one gut, but that's like at the pinnacle right at the end. Everything else, it's more just a little bit of blood, and it's all implied.
Huh. Sounds like sex to me. There's a little bit of blood, but it's implied.
It's cheaper than lube.
Yeah, it is.
It's better than tears.
That's so depressing. That's so depressing. I'm already unhappy enough.
Well, that's the thing. Instead of crying, next time just cut yourself a little bit and use that. Fucking, I'm sorry.